Take me down to the riverbed. Take me down to the fighting end. Wash the poison from off my skin. Show me how to be whole again. Fly me up on a silver wave. Past the black where the sirens sing. Warm me up in a nova's glow. And drop me down to the dream below. 'Cause I'm only a crack in this castle of glass. Hardly anything there for you to see. For you to see. Bring me home in a blinding dream. Through the secrets that I have seen. Wash the sorrow from off my skin. And show me how to be whole again.
Yo, what is up, everybody? This is Terminator Juice. Let me turn my camera on. And yeah, thanks for tuning in on this Friday, this Valentine's Day. Had to get some stuff figured out, so I figured I'd just start some music, start on time, and yeah. So wait till get a few more people in here. See, live chat is working. So we got just one viewer. So I don't want to get too deep into it, but yeah, I forgot to I was going to write down all the topics, but basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to address a tweet I made today about it was actually titled "I definitely don't care if Nintendo games come to PC," but you're close, Trizzy. This is a follow-up based on the replies and the conversations that sprung up from that video. Definitely, people they like to add their own. I don't know if it's insecurities or worries onto what I said, but I'll discuss that at the that'll be the kind of the main topic. But first, I made a tweet about people who have in the past have maybe thrown some shade or even jokingly or not jokingly. It's not really an important part about me mentioning like HDR and how much I liked Resident Evil 2 with HDR, playing Breath of the Wild on the CEMU emulator at 1440p, or anytime I've ever mentioned visuals and stuff like that. And then some of those same people that have kind of teased me, or whether they were serious or just being just friends joking around, are already decided they're buying Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on the Switch, and I'm just like, hey, all you know about that game is that it looks better. So if it's okay to, it's perfectly fine to buy a game, buy a remake, remaster, just because it looks better than the old one. If that's all it does, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying that isn't. But don't do that and then still judge people or criticize, or unless it's just joking. If it's just for joking, like the Juice Loose podcast crew, that shit. I'm not really talking about that kind of stuff. But on one hand, I said, I just said that, but also if you're behind Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and you have the Wii version, then you're kind of a hypocrite if you give somebody shit about talking about getting a new GPU or buying a 4K TV or any of that stuff, because it's the same thing. Games look better, whether it's a remake, full remake, or just a remaster. It's a better looking version of a game you already own. You're buying it because it looks better. Yeah, some of the other quality of life stuff is nice too. You might stay for that stuff, but you're definitely buying the game because of the visuals. So I'm going to go into that even further, and then talk about my video where I said I didn't care that Nintendo games, if they come to PC, And I want to talk about, like I said, the replies to that, the conversations that came from that, and kind of why some of those are just ridiculous. And I kind of think I can just put those to rest. I can further explain what I meant, and then we can have a real discussion about what it would mean or what it would take, to do it right if Nintendo did it right, which they probably wouldn't. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's nothing wrong with appreciating like good looking visuals. Yeah, you don't have to know all the technical terms, but uh, you see a good looking game, and maybe it's a game you've played on 360 or at the original Xbox, PS2, GameCube era. Fifth gen. I think that is. Is that fifth? I I think that's fifth gen. Yeah, 360 would be sixth gen. PS4. No wait, I think that's sixth gen. GameCube, I think sixth gen. Seventh gen was 360, PS3, Wii. But anyway, there's nothing wrong with um, wanting to play a game again because it looks better. I mean, I bought Wind Waker HD. I've bought Resident Evil Remake on the GameCube. Um, Twilight Princess HD, which I wasn't too pleased with the overall results, but I bought Shadow of the Colossus on the PS4. There's absolutely, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with it, but I feel like a lot of people won't acknowledge. They'll buy these games, but they won't acknowledge or admit that it's for the visual improvements. Yeah, there's other stuff comes with a lot of these games, quality of life stuff, but you're buying it because it looks better. It's a game you like, and now it looks really good. It looks significantly better. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You should just be able to admit it and not have to worry about anything. But what my tweet was about is if you do that, then I mean you can do what you want, but you kind of, to me, I don't want to hear you criticizing somebody else for, like, a PC gamer for buying a new graphics card, because buying a new graphics card on PC, and I got to give credit to Alex from Digital Foundry. You buy a new graphics card for your PC, basically you're buying a remastered version of all the games you already own. So that's, for PC gamers, that's how that works. You buy let's say I have a R9 390, which is from 2015. And yeah, I can run most current games at 1080p, close to 60 frames, high settings. But if I bought a 2080 Ti, it's $1,200 graphics card. Now Shadow of the Tomb Raider game that I have, like I said, runs at 1080, 50 to 60. Now I can run that if I had them, at 4K or 1440p, ultra settings with ray tracing on, and it becomes like not a brand new game, but visually it's a league apart. It's almost like a generational leap. So there's nothing wrong with wanting games to look better, and it's like it's been around forever. It's the reason you buy the next console. It's the reason people went to N64 from Super Nintendo and didn't. I'm good with Super Nintendo. I'm good with these visuals. And then they saw N64 and like, holy shit, look at what those games look like. And then they saw the GameCube and they're like, damn, look at Luigi's Mansion. You're buying the new system because, yeah, get new games, but if the games look the same visually, no one's gonna buy a new system for the same level of visuals. Like, that's just ridiculous. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing, but some people I feel like just can't admit that, or just don't feel comfortable saying it. Obviously, you want improved gameplay. You want quality games. You still want, great gameplay with new things you couldn't do before. But when it all boils down to it, you buy the next generation system because everything looks better. All the games look amazing. I mean, how many people did you remember hearing say, like, when Wii U came out, like, oh my god, look at Mario Kart 8, look at the level of detail, look at what Nintendo can do with HD, look at 3D World, look at Smash Brothers for Wii U, look at Wind Waker HD, which was a remaster. You're blown away by it, you're impressed by it. You don't have to know what all the technical babble is, but that's appealing, and there's nothing wrong with that. So what my tweet was, basically, I was just I've been, receipts have been taken for every time someone takes a little shot at me or a little throw some shade over the course of the last couple years, and it's like, yeah, all right, you're gonna give me shit about when I got a 4K TV and now I'm seeing HDR and I'm talking about it, and it's like, wow, this is amazing what HDR adds to a game like Resident Evil or um, Uncharted Lost Legacy. And I had some people, oh, does it make the game any better? Does Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition make the game any better when it looks better? Maybe they'll add some quality of life improvements that are game changing, but it's gonna be the same game. They're putting better visuals on top of the same game. Just look at the cutscene comparisons. I think GameXplain did one. You can tell it's the identical game. There's no way you can recreate some of the shots from the ground up scratch and have it look 1-to-1 match. My cat wants to probably come up here. Like they're 1-to-1, so it's and then there's this whole debate about remasters and remakes. Basically, what I'm talking about when I use Xenoblade Chronicles as an example, you're talking about the same basic game with new visuals and maybe some quality of life tweaks. It's not a Resident Evil 2 situation. It's not a Samus Return situation. It's not a Metroid Zero Mission situation where it's the idea of the original game, but it's built a completely new game with new areas, new mechanics. Like it's almost like someone tells a story, or you got a book, and somebody makes a movie out of it or a TV show, and they just make it their own. I mean, it has the same characters, it has some of the same key points, but it's a completely new thing. And a lot of people, get mad. The book readers will get mad if they change too much, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, but then you get Game of Thrones season 1 on HBO. It is almost 1-for-1 with the first Game of Thrones book, and it's great. But then you get, that would be a 1-to-1. But then it's something like, I'm trying to think of an example of one where it's completely different, where they took the source material, like Ready Player One. They took the source material as an idea, the characters, but it's completely different. All like 2 of the 3 quests in that were just completely made up. They have nothing to do with the book, So it's for better or worse. There's two different things with games, in my opinion. You got they take the base game, they recreate it, or they build on top of it with better visuals, like Link's Awakening. Yeah, they didn't just slap better visuals on top of the Game Boy game. They started from scratch, but they made it. They basically copied the identity, the locations, the layout of that entire game. So if you played it before on the Game Boy or Game Boy Color, you're gonna know where everything is. Like that's, to me, it's a remake because they're building it from scratch, but they're remaking it to stay true to the original. Whereas Resident Evil 2, it's basically a brand new game. I mean, the gameplay mechanics are just completely different. The puzzles, might be similar, but they work different because you're in a full 3D camera system. But it's, the shooting mechanics, everything's different. So I wouldn't use those games in the example because you're getting a new experience with that. Whereas games like Link's Awakening, you're getting the same experience just with better visuals, better music, obviously. Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition looks like you're getting the same game with better visuals. Shadow of the Colossus, identical game. They actually built upon the code of the original game. So, games like that, you're just buying, you own them, you've beaten them, and you're buying them again because now they look prettier. They look better. It's like Shadow of the Colossus is like one of the best looking games on the PS4. And it's a great game, but it plays identical to the original. So it's just one of those things. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. Just go out, buy the games you want to buy, but don't think that you're any different than the guy who's going out and buying a new GPU for his computer, or he's buying the Xbox Series X to play games in 4K now for all his Xbox One collection. Now, because he didn't know, someone like me who doesn't have an Xbox One X, I have an S, I get the Series X, I'm getting a huge upgrade on all the games I own. I don't own a ton, but when Ori and the Will of the Wisps comes out, I guarantee it'll be 4K at least, 60 frames per second for sure. Maybe even get 120 frames per second option. And there's nothing wrong with it. I think that's great. Great games, great looking games at higher resolutions and with better technology can look, usually almost always look even better, like Breath of the Wild. Great looking game on Wii U at 720p. Still a very good looking game on Switch. It's a great game. Seeing that art style up-res, or not even up-res, it's just being displayed natively at 1080 or 1440 or 4K, it looks even better. Like, there's just nothing wrong with that. So anyway, that's all that tweet was about. It's not that serious, but at the same time, I just wanted to point out something to think about for people that are like day one already pre-ordered and they have the Wii version of Xenoblade Chronicles. Like, all you know so far is you're getting a better looking version of the game you already own. So just think about that. It's not any different. Yeah, and like I said earlier, I was going to write down, there was one thing I want to talk about before I got into the main discussion. Let me check Twitter real quick, because it might have been somebody replied to me about something. And I think that's what I wanted to talk about. Let's see. Damn it. I knew I should. I felt like there was 3 main things I want to talk about. I just did one. I know the other. What was the third one? God damn it. This shit always happens. Just like T. Once the lights turn on, once the camera turns on, you forget shit. Damn it, what do I want to talk about? But anybody got any questions or comments? I'm trying to think of any gaming news that's popped up. I know I'm pretty excited that Ori and the Will of the Wisp comes out in less than a month now. We got Doom Eternal. Oh, that was the thing I want to talk about. The Nintendo Directs. The Nintendo Direct begging, or people looking for Nintendo Direct. They're feeling it's literally been the longest gap between Nintendo Directs ever since Direct started. And I want to just talk about this. I've seen a few people now, and more than a few, say, I'm sick of you guys begging for Directs and blah, blah, blah. There's so many games to play. Look at my backlog of games. And I'm sorry. I know at least one person in the podcast said that, but I'm just like, what does your backlog of all the games you haven't found time to play have to do with a Nintendo Direct drought? Like, not knowing, we know 2 games for 2020, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition and Animal Crossing. That's it from Nintendo for 2020. I mean, we know there's Breath of the Wild 2 in development, and we know that Bayonetta 3 has been in development with Platinum, published by Nintendo for years. We know nothing else. Now, most people on YouTube and Twitter that you're following are, have gaming channels and stuff, and people just want something to talk about. They want something to look forward to. I don't see anything wrong with wanting to know what's coming, even if you have games to play. There's nothing wrong with wanting to know more, wanting that next, like last year's Direct, where you got Mario Maker 2, Astral Chain, and Link's Awakening all announced in one Direct. Like, why don't you want that? Like, what does that hurt? Yeah, you have games to play right now, but you're telling me you wouldn't be excited if a Direct gets announced on Tuesday and it airs Thursday, and you get info on Breath of the Wild 2 and Super Mario Odyssey 2? You're telling me you're not gonna be excited for that? Yeah, yeah, you might. To you could wait, and you're patient. Like, I'm a patient person. I'm fine waiting. I mean, it just, for me, and running a podcast, it'd be nice to have stuff to talk about and know what's coming in the future, and it's just not like Nintendo to go this long without letting us know what's coming this year. I mean, the problem with not telling people stuff is that then you start assuming, oh, is it because they don't have any games? And then you give all these rumor and leaker, quote unquote leakers, this platform because of the thirst, because of the drought of info, and so then all that stuff like spawns. Now you're creating an environment where everyone's reporting rumors and leaks and stuff, and it's like, what are you waiting for? Like, what are you waiting for? Are you waiting for E3? Like, you, Nintendo, have created the standard of 3 to 4 months. You get a Nintendo Direct. They've created that. We haven't created that. What people created was thinking every one of the Directs needed to be like an E3. That was what the fans created. But Nintendo created the schedule of Directs not being super predictable, but being, frequent enough that we've never had, what is it, September? So October, November, December, January, February. If we don't get one in February, we're going on 6 months. They've never done that before. So, maybe this is the new thing to expect. Maybe they'll have one Direct. They got to have an Animal Crossing Direct. Something, like maybe they don't. But when I say they got to have an Animal Crossing Direct, why would I say that? That's because Nintendo have created the expectations, because these big games usually get their own Directs. They usually get some kind of video with information. That's how they've done it since, 2013, 2014? We got the Mario Kart 8 Direct. I think that might have been the first game exclusive Direct. They set the precedent. They've had the format and blueprint for this. And we're just expecting them to continue that. And if they're not going to do that, they should probably say something. Hey, we're not going to do the Directs, tell people that. Like we say at work. Where's the communication, So if you're having a Direct, obviously we'll know about it a couple days in advance. If you're not going to do Directs like you were before, then you should say something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see the harm in people just like, where's the Direct, Nintendo? Last year we got it on February 13th, but I think the last one of the year before was in November. I'm pretty sure it was November 2018 where we got, maybe it was October, where they announced Luigi's Mansion. Let me look. Reveal. Let's see. That was September. Okay. So September 28th. So, they're right on schedule, I guess, then. When was the last Nintendo Direct? That's what you get for trusting other sources. Yeah, it was September 4th was the last one. So they're actually right on the same path as last year. But I think there must have been a different type of Direct in between. So, I guess we're on the same as last year. I wouldn't expect it to be too much longer. But the other thing I want to talk about, okay, you have a backlog. So I shouldn't be looking for a Direct. I shouldn't be expecting a Direct or anxious for a Direct. I'm sorry that you haven't managed your time and you haven't been able to finish all the games you bought in the meantime. Or some of us bought and played all the games they wanted to in 2019. There's nothing from 2019 that I'm just like, man, next time I got some money, I'm definitely pick this game up. There's nothing left. I've played everything I wanted to play. Now, I might eventually play a 2019 game that I skipped and be like, wow, I wish I would have played this, like Hellblade. I wish I would have played it in 2017, or Rocket League. I wish I would have played it in 2015 when it came out. It's like there's games that I might play this year, next year, that were from 2019. They're like, wow, why did I wait? Like, like Last Jedi or something. Maybe they patch it someday and it doesn't have any glitches and bugs, and I play it. I'm like, man, this is an incredible game. I wish I would have played it in 2019. For me, if I started a game in 2019 and I didn't finish it, it's because I didn't like it enough to care. Like Spider-Man, I know it's a 2018 game, but I bought it and started it in 2019. It's just a boring, like, side missions are just boring, repetitive, and tedious. The main story isn't gripping me. The main gameplay isn't gripping me. I don't care about beating that game. I don't put it on my backlog because I could care less if I ever finish the game. I might finish it someday, who knows? But I don't consider that a backlog game if I don't like it enough to keep playing it. Gears 5, I mean, I was interested for a little bit, but I really can't, at this point, trying to find like the urge to turn it back on. Obviously, I didn't like it enough. If I liked it enough, I'd have finished it by now, or I'd be close to finishing it. Control. I started Control and Gears 5 at the same time. As soon as I played Control, I never went back to Gears 5 until I beat Control. Like, I play the games I like, I play them and beat them. That doesn't linger. I don't go back and forth with a bunch of games. I just finish the games I like, and then I move to the next one. I might play 2 games at the same time, but I'm going to finish the one I like first, and then keep playing the other one if I like it, like Devil May Cry 5. I thought it was decent. I get Control. I didn't play Devil May Cry 5 again until I beat Control, and then I beat Devil May Cry 5 afterwards because I was like, all right, it's a decent game, and I finished it. Like, to me, your backlog, that's your thing. Yeah, there was some games you might not have bought in 2019 that you still kind of want to. What does that have to do with a direct and wanting to know what's coming in 2020? I just don't understand that. I guess I just don't overbuy games where I don't have the time to play them all. I'm not interested in every single game that comes out, so it's like I can skip. I could skip major games, like Animal Crossing. I could never play that game in my entire life. What is it called? New Horizons? I'll never regret it. I'll never think twice about it. I watched my girlfriend play the DS version, and then I tried New Leaf on the 3DS when I got it for free through Nintendo for whatever reason. And I'm just like, what the hell do people see in this game? So I just don't care about Animal Crossing. And I'll never, if I never play it, it'll never bother me, and I'll be fine. I'll just play Doom Eternal and Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and I'll never think about Animal Crossing ever. It's not an issue. So I don't even know where I was going with that, but I just that's the other thing for the people that are really anticipating Animal Crossing. Comes out in just over a month. For you don't need a direct. I get it. One of your favorite games is coming out in a month, and you'll be playing that. That's all you care about. Like, that's all that you're focused on. Now, turn that Animal Crossing, your favorite game, into just pretend it's not coming out, or that game, Nintendo's game for March 20th, is another Kirby game or something, like another low middle tier, like Mario Tennis type of not very exciting type of game. And I'd be a pretty safe bet to say you'd have a different outlook on wanting to know more about what's coming out in 2020. Like, you have this big game coming, so obviously you're going to be satisfied. That's fine. You don't need to throw your backlog in there as a reason why I shouldn't be looking forward to a direct. You know what? A telltale sign of I mean, there's been a game drought for me personally for games I'm interested in. I'm playing Breath of the Wild. I started it on PC on the emulator. But last night or yesterday, I got home. I was really tired, and I just laid down, and I didn't play with my cat. I didn't tire her out. I didn't, And then I got up, and I was like, oh, I'm just so tired. I thought maybe a nap would help. I laid right back down, and my cat's just like, what the fuck, She just laid home all day while I was at work, and now she's laying all night. About 3 in the morning, she's whining, and I go back to sleep. I wake up about 4:30 in the morning. I'm like, you know what? I'm wide awake because I've been sleeping since like 8 o'clock. And I get up, I turn on my TV, and I play Breath of the Wild on the Switch for an hour, and I find 2 Korok seeds, and I'm absolutely loved every second of it. It's like I'm playing Breath of the Wild again. I'm at 300 hours plus, and I'm playing that game, and instead of some new game, because for me, the last game that interests me that came out was October 31st, 2019, Luigi's Mansion 3. There hasn't been a game even close to scratching my interest since then until Ori and the Will of the Wisp comes out in just under a month. So from October 31st to March 11th that's the gap for games that interest me personally. So for me personally, that's a pretty long drought. I played Control right up until the beginning of this year. Finished Devil May Cry in January. Technically that was a backlog game for me. Finished it, and since then I've been pretty thirsty for something new. Watch some Netflix. I watched some Amazon shows. I watched The Boys. I watched Carnival Row, and just gotta say, Carnival Row was fucking amazing. It's probably the best of series I've seen on any of those streaming sites. Netflix, Hulu, all those. It's probably one of the best ones I've seen. I absolutely loved it. The fantasy setting, the 1800s, Europe setting, like it's phenomenal. So I caught up on a lot of that stuff, but I'm really looking forward to having a new game to sink my teeth into. So yeah, I guess that's what I got for that. Let me check. It's just Trizzy and Retrodeath. They're the only ones commenting. I see 12 people are watching, so feel free to add to their conversation or anything you guys want to talk about. I could get into the main topic. And usually what happens is when I'm an hour in and I think I've exhausted everything, that's when I get 20 live viewers. Everybody comes in. So that's why I'm trying to kind of save the main meat and potatoes for a little bit longer. But it's been a half hour, so I'll just get into it. So yeah, my last video I uploaded wasn't a live stream. I was playing Breath of the Wild on the CEMU emulator at 1440p, talking about what show was it? Carnival Row on Amazon Prime Video with Orlando Bloom and Cara Del. Fuck, I forgot her last name. Fucking amazing. I loved every second of it. It was a great show. If you watch Penny Dreadful and like that, it's very similar, but with way more fantasy, less horror, not the horror aspect. Freaking amazing. Maybe not for everybody, but I loved it. I was surprised at how much world building they did. It was impressive. All the prosthetics, different creatures, different races of fairy tale ish animals. Not animals, but people. Like minotaur-ish, kind of like fairies. It's just I really loved it. So anyway, I just started talking about something. Oh yeah, so I made that video, and while I was playing, I was talking about why I was okay with Nintendo games coming to PC. Yeah, Orlando Broom. And I was like, I'm playing Breath of the Wild on PC, and within a minute of playing it, I forget I'm playing it on PC. Like I was just into the game. I forgot I had an Xbox controller in my hand. I wasn't thinking about what box this thing was coming out of, and I was just lost in the game. And I was like, that's the main thing. Like, I just don't care that it's not a Nintendo system. Plus, I feel PC It's not even that I feel. It's just true. The PC market is a completely different market than the console space. It's just totally different. And I was just saying I don't care. I just don't care if Nintendo decides to bring games to PC. I really didn't go into the pros and cons of it or what they would need to do, which I'm going to do here. But what I seen in the comment section just had me scratching my head. So multiple people, oh, Nintendo should just go third party then if they bring games to PC. You don't know what an exclusive is. The Microsoft tried that and look what happened to Xbox. Look what happened to Xbox One. And I'm just like, are you guys fucking serious? Like, for one, the main thing I gotta say is, yeah, I don't care if Breath of the Wild or Breath of the Wild 2 or Mario Odyssey or any Nintendo first party game comes to PC. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I still have my Switch. I'm still going to buy them on the Switch because I like to play on my TV and I'm not moving all my PC, my green screen, my microphone, my keyboard, and everything up into my living room. So I still buy them on Switch. I guess I didn't clarify that. But the other thing is, if Nintendo decided to never bring their games to PC, I could care less. I have no stakes in it. I'm not hoping it happens. I'm not wishing it happens. I'm not pining for it. I'm not looking, oh man, I really hope they do it. I don't give two shits if they never put a game on PC. It won't affect me whatsoever. Like, I think because I said I didn't care if they came to PC, people feel like by their comments, they think I was saying I want them to come to PC. Like, I don't care if they come to PC or not. If they do, though, I'm not going to be mad. But I think if they did, they'd do it all wrong and they wouldn't do it the way they need to. So maybe that's why I don't care. But if they brought them to PC and it was a stupid way to do it, which I'll detail, then yeah, I'll be like, yeah, this, I will be a little upset if they do it wrong. And I'll tell you the ways I think they'll do it wrong if they did it. And I'll tell you the ways I think they should do it if they were going to, the way it could work, and you wouldn't lose anything. The other thing people were saying, then PC gamers aren't going to buy a Switch because they don't need to because all the exclusive games will be on PC. I'm like, first of all, who gives a fuck if a PC gamer buys a Switch or not? Why do you care if a PC gamer does or doesn't buy a Switch? I don't understand why you care. Like, who gives a shit? But if you think about it, I really feel like if let's say Breath of the Wild comes to PC, I think you'd get more PC gamers to buy a Switch if they release these games on PC than if you don't. Because if you don't, the diehard PC gamers are just going to emulate it anyway. And if they care enough to buy a Switch for some Nintendo exclusives, they'll care enough to buy a Switch to play the games they're enjoying on the go. Like, so you get a guy who doesn't care about console gaming. He buys Breath of the Wild on PC. And he's like, oh, this is an amazing game. Holy shit. What's up, Laker Link? He's like, wow, this is an amazing game. Oh, you're telling me I can play this amazing game on my bus ride to work? Like, the scenario where somebody doesn't buy a Switch because now they can play it on PC, I bet you there's just as many scenarios of people who would go out and buy a Switch because now they love this game and they want to play it on the go. That is until they realize there's no cloud saves, there's no cross-platform cloud save, so that would really kill it. But I think anyone you would potentially lose any Switch sales, if you care about Switch sales in this instance, you would gain them back by people really liking these games and saying, you know what, I can play this on the go. I can go to my in-laws for whatever instead of sitting there checking my phone. Now I can play these amazing games. I think you'd have that. But what Nintendo needs to do, if they ever were going to bring games to PC, like I said, I don't care if they do or don't, but if they were going to, there's one way to do it right, and there's a bunch of ways to do it wrong. So first of all, the ways to do it wrong are put Breath of the Wild on Steam for $60, and it has no ties to your Switch, your account system, and it's just you buy it. It's just a separate version. You have this game. You start completely from scratch, and it's its own thing. Like that would be terrible. Or do that for Epic Game Store. Or maybe they'd partner with what's the other one I was thinking? Because you got Ubisoft has their own. And I was thinking Nintendo's been pretty friendly with I don't know, Steam, whoever, Steam, Epic. I don't think it'd be on Windows 10, but that would to me would be the wrong way to do it, unless you just didn't care about those guys, that PC guys, potentially ever buying it on the Switch, or buying a Switch, to play these games on the go. Another thing, if they did like their own launcher, and it's just like completely minimal, which it probably would be, no friends list at all or something. It's just completely separate offline thing. That would be stupid. But to do it right, to do it where not only aren't you going to really hurt your console sales, you might help your console sales, and you're going to reach a market. And this is another thing I said in my last video. The PC market is just a completely separate thing. It's a completely separate mindset. We're talking dedicated PC gamers here, not just people who have a PC, who play games on their console but have a PC. Like, these are the dedicated hardcore PC gamers who don't buy consoles, or maybe they'll buy one or something in a few games. So what you do, Nintendo, you create Nintendo Switch Online on PC, a launcher. You have all your games, your eShop, everything. So you'd open a window, and it would look like the Switch menu. You sign in to your account. You'd have to create a unified account system at this point. So I download the launcher. I sign in. I verify whatever checks you need to do to verify. Sync it with my Switch because I'm on the same network to verify, and then, here's T-Juice. Here's all my games. Here's my games I own digitally. The only caveat would be the cartridge. If you buy the game physically, it would be a problem that Nintendo would have to figure out. Would you release a USB dongle that lets you put a cartridge in so it can verify you have it? I don't know. That would be the tricky part. Maybe there's no way around it, because even if you buy the game on Xbox physically, you don't get the Play Anywhere advantage. It's only for digital, so I guess you'd have to do it digital only, because Xbox has to do it. Sony would have to do it because you're not going to put a Blu-ray disc in. Most computers don't even have disc drives, so it'd have to be digital only. So there'd be that, but most PC gaming is digital. So let's say, actually that's another benefit, because then they profit even more by they make more money on physical or digital versions. So you pop up. I wish I would had my Wii or my Switch hooked in through the through my capture card. But so you sign in. Here's your games. Say, Mario Maker 2. Do you want to download onto your computer? Yep, I download it. I work on it for an hour, make levels. I saves. I exit out. I turn my Switch. Do you want to update to the more recent save file for Mario Maker 2? Yep. Minute later, I'm caught up. My Switch is caught up to the progress I made on PC. Now I can play Mario Maker while watching the game, or take it with me. Finish that. Save it. Once I get back to a network, uploads to the cloud. Turn on my PC. Maybe Mario Maker is not the best example. Let's say Luigi's Mansion 3 or Fire Emblem 3 Houses. So now you're not starting over. So if you bought it and let's say you start on PC, you bought Breath of the Wild, you got 50 hours into it, you're loving it, you're just like, you know what, I want to be able to play this at work on my lunch breaks. You go buy a Switch, you sync your account, you Switch is docked and it's connected, it automatically updates. You turn it on. When you get to work, you play. You dock it when you get home. It automatically uploads your progress. And next time you turn on your PC to play, it syncs up, and boom. And it's like, if they did that, that would be such a huge, and there's no way they would. I don't think they just don't have the, I don't know if it's the urge or the technical or the right mindset to do it that way. But if you do it that way, you don't lose hardware sales because, I mean, it's like the Switch Pro already exists at this point. Nintendo doesn't have to do R&D on a powerful Switch and try to find a chipset that gives a decent boost in power without killing the battery life down to less than 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. They don't have to do all that R&D. They don't have to package up a system. They don't have to price it because they're going to try to make a profit. So then you got a $400, $500 Nintendo system that only hooks up to the TV or something. They don't have to do any of that. All they have to do, put the game, like I said, put their launcher on PC, and now almost anybody with a decent graphics card has the Switch Pro. So that's just something Nintendo doesn't have to mess with. It's a part of the industry, or it's a market they don't have any hands in right now. They have nothing. And yeah, some of these guys will buy a Switch and buy some of their games. Just like a bunch of PS4 and Xbox guys will buy a Switch and buy some games. But now it's like you covered the high-end guys who want to play games at decent fidelity, Yeah, Nintendo would have to have a completely new mindset with their games, though, because you got to give people the option to play it at 4K and all that on PC. But so you have the high-end covered. Then you have the docked, play on my TV. I'm fine with 720, 900p, whatever, 1080 for some games. I'm fine with that. And then I can go play it on the go. You got all three pillars covered. And you didn't have to spend any money extra on development of this hardware. So I'm just saying, if they were going to do it, if people just jumped in, I'm not saying I want them to, but if you're going to do it, that's how I'd do it. Yeah, that's what Microsoft does. And you might say, well, the last thing I'm going to talk about, well, Xbox did that, and look what happened to the Xbox brand. Look at how they're struggling. And I swear, these people that say stuff like that, do you even pay attention to what? Look at what happened to Microsoft. Before they ever put a game on PC, the PS4 was outselling them like 30 million to like 6 million. Like it was, or maybe it was 20 to 6. I think it was like 30 million to 10 million. It was 3-1 by time Quantum Break came out on PC. I think it was day and date. They already lost. That generation was already lost to them at that point. Putting these games on Windows 10 was Microsoft, heads of Microsoft pushing the Windows 10 platform as this, like, I don't know if it was trying to compete with Steam. I don't know if it was trying to compete with mobile. I don't know what they were trying to compete with. But they pushed it, and Xbox had to push it. And also, when your games, you're putting, what, 50 million into a Halo 5 or Gears 4 or whatever, the price they're putting into these games, and you're getting 4-5 million, if you're lucky, software sales. How are they going to recoup that money? Well, put the game up to out on PC, so you got the people that obviously aren't buying the Xbox One can still play the games. It's kind of like when Nintendo wasn't selling the Wii U and the games weren't selling, huge. Some of them sold, but they weren't selling. What'd they do? They came up with Amiibo to try to make up for the lost sales. What'd Microsoft do? They put games day and date on Windows 10 to try to help recoup some of the losses they were taking because their hardware wasn't selling and their games weren't selling. That's why Xbox is in the situation it's in. And they don't even have the IPs Nintendo has. So Nintendo has a successful system. They're coming from a place of strength. They have huge selling IPs. They have, like the top games like Smash Brothers, top selling fighting game. I'm just talking about if Nintendo were to go to PC, and I don't care if they do, how I would do it, and why it's nothing like what Microsoft did. Because Microsoft was reactionary. They already lost the generation, and they needed to try to find a way to, save some of the costs of the, try to make as much money as they could off these games. So they released Game Pass as a service to try to recoup money, and they put these games day and date to try to get people to subscribe to Game Pass, because that's a constant flow of money. And they did that because they lost the generation. And maybe they were going to do it anyway, but they definitely fast-tracked it. Nintendo's not in that situation. They're not going to have to do that. Switch is a huge success. It's already at 52, 54 million. It'll probably be at 70 something by the end of this year. Maybe 80. So it's already been a success. Your games are already selling well. You could argue, well, they don't need more sales. They don't need Breath of the Wild sold 15 million. Smash is at 18. They've already made a shit ton of money off these games. They don't need any more. But what I'm saying is, if they were going to do it, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to turn them into Xbox. You don't think Smash Brothers is still going to sell over 18 million if it had been released on PC sometime last year? You think that would have halted the game sales on Switch? Like, are you serious? But then, just getting back to the final thing, there's no way Nintendo has the capacity, the desire, and the mindset to do PC game, their games on PC the right way. I mean, Microsoft, they're a software company. They have the Windows 10 platform, the OS that almost everybody uses. They have all the foundation there. It was probably a lot easier for them. Their games are x86 on the Xbox One, and PCs are x86 architecture, so it's an easier transition. Nintendo would probably have to port the game, so it'd be a lot more work because of the different architecture. I'm not sure if they could build that into the it would have to be x86, so that would be a problem. So I mean, it's not going to happen, but maybe next gen, but I don't think they could ever pull it off in a way that it needed to be pulled off. So again, I don't care. I'm fine with them not bringing games to PC. Just to reiterate, just in case somebody didn't hear me the 10 other times, I just don't care one way or the other. But if they did, and they did it right, it could actually benefit them. It could make them a stronger company. It could make their IPs stronger. They'd have more sales overall of their software. Maybe they lose some hardware sales, maybe, I don't know, 1 million, 2 million. I don't know what the number would be. But I think they'd gain it back tenfold in software sales. But then the online it'd have to work. You'd have to be able to play Smash Brothers on Switch and Smash Brothers on PC and be seamless. Your friends list would have to be seamless. I don't see how Nintendo could pull it off. And they can't even get messaging between friends on your Switch. So there's no way they're going to do that. I think there's no way their games come to PC, but, hypothetically speaking, if they were going to, that's what I would do. So yeah, we'll see if somebody can turn anything I said into something completely different. And the whole Nintendo going third party, that's, I guess, one more thing I want to talk about. If they put some games on PC, saying that they might as well go third party is the dumbest, I think, reaction to what I said. Because, again, PC is a separate market. It's it's so different than the console space. Like I said earlier, you go out and buy a graphics card on PC. PC gamers automatically get remastered versions of all the games they own by upgrading their graphics card. They're used to spending, $400, $500, $600 every couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years, get a new GPU. Now all the games you own, now you can run them higher settings, higher resolution, higher frame rates. And, they look at console gaming as console peasants. I know they use that term, Like, oh, you're playing that at 30 frames per second. Oh, how cute, you know. I'm playing this at 144 frames per second on a high refresh rate monitor with VSync or with FreeSync or whatever Nvidia's is. Enjoy your 30 frames per second medium set. That's PC gamers. That's how they think, and it's just a completely different mindset to a console gamer. Console gamer, you unbox it, you plug it into your TV. Yeah, you got to do soft updates and stuff, but you just put the games in and you play the games. You don't think about driver installs or mods or put more RAM in your system. You don't think about that stuff. You just plug it in and you play it. You might have, expandable memory if you got a Switch or a day one Xbox or PS4. You might need expandable memory or maybe replace the hard drive entirely, but you just plug it in, you play it. That is the benefit. Not a lot of people that I know have their computer hooked up to their main television. I mean, yeah, if you're playing in your bedroom, you do. But most people don't have their computer hooked up to their main big screen TV. You got a living room for that. You play your games in there. You got your consoles in there. You got your PC at a desk somewhere. Maybe it's in the same room, but more than likely it's in a different room. It's just a separate thing. And I just don't know why there's any challenge to that. Like, oh yeah, I know somebody. He's got a PC, and the only reason he bought a Switch was for Nintendo exclusives. I was like, cool. If those exclusives were on PC, guess what? He's still buying those games, instead of potentially emulating them, like, I don't know. But anyway, there was one last thing. I don't know. What's the timer at? 55. All right. So the Untitled Goose Game, this is completely changing the topic, won the DICE's Game of the Year for 2019. And DICE is, they definitely wait. And I think they do it right by waiting till, so they can play all the 2019 games. Luigi's Mansion won for best, like, animation or whatever. You gave Untitled Goose Game the best game of the year. And the only thing I can just call that is a cute pick for Game of the Year. You took a trendy game that had a bunch of streamers playing it for the first couple weeks, and you got this short little simple game. Yeah, it's charming. It's funny to be playing as a goose, for the couple hours you're playing as a goose. But is it a great game? Fuck no. I mean, it's got some funny moments. It's got some tricky puzzles that you're like, oh, that's clever. But a lot of it's just tedious, busy work. Oh, I gotta drag this rake into the lake. Okay. Oh, this dude sees me, and then I'm sorry. It's a great story for the people that made it. The success, I think it's done over $1 million. Charging $20 for a fucking 2-hour game, which is a whole other thing, but whatever. To put it at Game of the Year, like that is such a, I don't know if it's a hipster thing. I don't know if it's a trendy thing. It's definitely an attention grabbing pick for Game of the Year. It's absolutely ridiculous, especially when you look at the games that come out in 2019 from the people that played Fire Emblem, Three Houses say it's amazing. Resident Evil 2, absolutely amazing. Controls, amazing. Gears 5 seems to be pretty. I didn't play it all the way, but Mr. T really said it, he loves it. You had, what were some of the others? Astral Chain for the action fans. Devil May Cry 5. I feel like I'm missing like one huge one though. I know Mario Maker 2 isn't going to win any awards like that, but god damn it. I swear I know Jedi Fallen Order, that was kind of a mixed bag. Oh, Sekiro was well received, and you're going to give it to the Untitled Goose Game? Like, come on. That's like giving it to I don't want to say Shovel Knight, but Shovel Knight's way more of a game than the Untitled Goose Game, but it's just like, to me, that's just trying to be trendy, trying to be stand out amongst the crowd. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man. I can't see it. I own the game. I paid like it was $15. I had $6 in gold coins. I paid $9, and it's like, I don't know, man. It seems like every few years there's a game like that where people just critically acclaim it and just absolutely love it, and I'm just like, what the fuck are they talking about? But anyway, that's going to be it for this Juices Loose podcast, or not Juices podcast, Juice Opinions. Hopefully you guys were entertained. Hopefully it made sense, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.